Depleted batteries. A lot of men, far too many actually, wind up like used up, depleted batteries. And the reason why that is so is because society lies to men. Oftentimes, a lot of young men, they are aspiring and they believe in things. Um, you know, just remember the sparkle that a man would have or a young boy would have in high school. Okay, we all have friends where he was the funniest guy in school and everything else, and then meet the same man, mid to late 40s, early 50s, and he's just got eyes are lifeless. And you ask him about it, well, he'll tell you, well, it's just life, just making a living, or if it's not divorced, something along those lines. Depleted batteries, doing something mundane. If he was a creative guy, let's say he used to make music, let's say he was a designer, you find that he's doing something like maybe he works for UPS, or FedEx, or he works for something archaic, something very monotonous and everything else. Depleted batteries, you know. Uh, a lot of what life is not built on truth. You know, we started off believing you could be anything you want to be. Okay, just put your mind to it, and you discover that most of the times you just a pawn in the game. You find yourself working for the corporation, doing something repetitive, and you're not really growing as a person. God forbid you get into a situation or a relationship and you discover that what you understand about the dynamics of men and women relationships doesn't translate. You get burned several times. So a lot of people, once they've been through the fire from the corporate sense, they've been through the fire from a relational sense, been through the fire from other things, religious sense, you discover that most pastors are just pimping people, just using them. You get spent. Your energies are spent. And then you discover the fact that a lot of times people, just general sense, in a general sense of friendships, they don't really value you like that. You get depleted. You feel used up. How do you regroup from that? How do you survive that? Because this is all the pockets I just touched on is what matters to men. The capacity to make an income, the capacity to love, the capacity, religious, family, depleted. And that's why the few that armor themselves and realize that life is, for the most part, full of shit, then they're like, you know what, I can be something else. That's when we arise to the truth. Until you arise to that truth, you just gonna get spent. You put a little energized battery in the phone and then they're finished. Then back in the day, we used to toss them. This day can recharge it, but they still get used, depleted. A lot of men, it's sad when you see a guy who is very creative, amazing, and you see them when he's at the end, especially early 50s. The guy just looks flat, nothing to him. And unfortunately, look, the majority of the times I find this got to do with the relationship with the female. So navigate correctly, navigate properly in this life so that you don't find yourself at the end of your life depleted. Hear the stories that are being told online about what work means, what it means to work, what church, pastors be pimping people right now. Pastors be pimps, you know, what marriage is really. I don't think nobody should get married. No lie, if you're in a marriage that somebody values you, cool. But for the majority, I would say no, don't. You know, understand what it is in the modern day times. Satan is at work. Satan is at work in a lot of relationships. But a lot of men are depleted. They lack that life in their eyes because they got lied to about promotions, got lied to about expectations, and they got lied to about relationships with this whole forever and ever. I got your back to death do us bad, do us part, I should say. And the other component is the fact that when you now find yourself in a lone state, maybe unemployed, maybe family less, you know, whatever it is that our percentage has been taken away from you, I can understand why men would be depleted. So learn early, gather yourself early, and learn these lessons and apply yourself in a wise way so that you're not a depleted man.